Valerie and Jonathan Sherratt, right? She's a stay-at-home mum. He's got Parkinson's disease. He's a great guy, but he can't speak. Did it stop him buying a business? No. Do you know how much he's grown that business in the size of that company? He's 3x'd. Can't even speak, right? He has to write things down.
The ability to create wealth quickly by doing deals is crazy.
Because there's trillions of dollars of boomers, deals, going to hit the market in the next 10 to 15 years. Oh, no way. Carl Allen's in my Uber, right? And then he's like, hey, I want to hire you as a private coach, right? I said, well, it's going to be a lot of money. He's like, well, that's fine. You know, I want to fast track this stuff. I want to go really, really big. So he hired me.
And the $5,000 to go to the strip club, that would buy the strip club in Alabama where I live.
Would it really?
Probably.
And if someone like Jonathan can do it, I'm so proud of him. Like, there's no excuse for anybody, right? You can buy a business with no money. I said, yeah.
A very warm welcome to the Creative Dealmaker podcast. I'm Carl Allen, I'm your host, and I'm going to be interviewing expert guests sharing investor strategies that will completely and utterly disrupt the market when it comes to buying and selling businesses all over the world.
Hey guys, it's Carl Allen. Welcome to a very special edition of the Creative Dealmaker podcast. I've got my two primary business partners with me. I've got Chris Moore and I've got Ross Turner. We're wearing our new 9FB 9-figure board. Hoodies. We've just come off of a pretty intense but really amazing 4-day event here in Austin. As you guys know, I emigrated to the United States. I could have lived anywhere in the country, but I wanted to live near my buddy, right? Like, we're raising hundreds of millions of dollars of capital. We've created our own private equity fund, 9FB Capital. We're doing micro cap investing for all of our students on SBA deals. And we own tons and tons of companies now, don't we? I probably have 50 partners across my portfolio. I think between Ross and Chris, over half of those businesses we're partners in on all those things, in coaching, professional services, e-commerce. We've got construction businesses, and we're also partnering with a lot of our students. So let's talk about the 9FB event for a minute. It's pretty grueling, right? You know, we're on stage 4 days. Our families were there. Unfortunately, yours weren't. Yours were back in Alabama. But Ross's wife, Jess, came down. She's our mindset coach, helping all of our students with limiting beliefs and mindset and productivity. My wife, Julia, my son, Josh, were there. I think Josh spent most of the weekend in his room. Yeah. He wasn't in a good mood this weekend, was he? I don't know why. He's exhausted from... He's playing soccer like 6 hours a day now in his new high school. He's walked straight into the varsity team. And, you know, he's a tall, handsome dude. He's rips. He gets it all from his mother. The look's not the rip. But no, we've just got so many cool things going on. Hey, it's Carl Allen. I'm so glad that you're here and you're listening to my podcast. Now, I wanted to offer you a special gift just to say thank you. Please go to learnfromcarl.com. That's learnfromcarl.com. And I have a free comprehensive training on how to buy an existing cash flowing business waiting there for you free. And I'd love to meet you one day. So please reach out and maybe I can mentor you. Until then, bye for now. Cool things going on. Let's just talk about it, right? So what do you think about the event? Best ever?
The event, I think it was really, really good. You know, I like all of our events for different reasons, but with the new format change to the 9FB, we have a 9-figure board, and that's where these higher level mastermind students that work with us all get to have the Magnificent Seven on their board as their 9-figure board. And so the first day of the event, we did a 9-figure board day, and that was led by our partners at BBA, Buy and Build Advisors. And I really liked that session a lot. We did hot seats, we did board reviews, board packet reviews. And what was cool about it is it let these people inside of our program, these deal makers who own businesses, who are buying businesses, get a glimpse into what it should look like and what it could look like. And they're getting this extreme level of accountability that they need to succeed. So I really enjoyed the first day.
Yeah.
Two main things that I really enjoyed. One, that it was in our hometown of Austin. So it was nice not to travel so far. But to what you said, Chris, I think we've looked at like every iteration that we've done of our mastermind and now settled on 9-figure board. That day with the BBA guys, the integrations, the operations, the board packet, like that is so valuable. And these are the key things that everybody who's owning a company needs to know. And I think as we've iterated it, we've identified the holes within our education.
Yeah.
and filled them, right?
Yeah, let's talk about where this came from, right? So, like, what's really interesting, like, we've had all of our events, right? We have the big Dealmaker weekend events, we have the big Dealmaker live events. I'm like, well, we're at these events, the three of us, right? And all these people, they're following us around literally for the whole weekend, and 10, 20, 30 times a day, each of us are being asked, will you join my board? How much equity do you want? And remember, I love this saying from you, like, people approach you all the time because you're the master growth guy, the master marketer, and people will say, hey, Chris, like, can I hire you? Can I pay you to, like, scale my company? I want to scale like you scale. And you say, hey, I only consult for the businesses that I own or I'm a partner in. And they say, well, great. Yeah, how much equity do you want me to gift you for free? And we have those conversations every single day. Yeah. And we kind of thought about it. And obviously, you know, we're busy guys. We own a big portfolio of companies. We're raising capital. We're doing deals. We're coaching. We've got all this stuff going on. We said, how can we build like a board, right? So, you know, I looked at my situation. You know, I've got you as my capital raising coach. I've got you on my board for all the growth of marketing. We've got Brittany as our fractional CFO. We've got Jeremy as our CPA, our tax guy. Who also does a lot of our deals. We've got David Geralt, who's one of our attorneys. You and I got tons of them now, right?
Yeah.
Keeps us out of jail. And then we've got Andrew Lamb, who, when we buy companies, helps us kind of integrate, right? So we kind of thought about it, and can we harness the power of all of those people and provide like a fractional full service board model for all of our acquisition entrepreneurs, right? Now, some of those guys and girls own businesses already, and they're looking to do roll-ups, right? They're looking to buy lots of different companies and integrate them together. But then equally as many, they haven't closed deals yet. They're new. So their businesses, they have a deal-making business, right? And so deploying those board packs and really holding them accountable and like giving them the tough love when we did, I think that's so powerful, right? I only wish we'd have done this maybe 3-4 years ago. I know we've grown exponentially in the last 3 or 4 years. You know, we've 17x'd the size of our coaching business and the number of students. And I don't know if you know this, right? You know, we're close to $800 million of deals closed just since we launched Protege 3 years ago.
That we know of.
It's close to it.
We've also identified that about 20% of people in our programs don't talk about when they close deals.
Yeah.
So that's what we know of. What I love about deal making in general is it's so sexy. Everyone wants to go out and buy a business, but the non-sexy parts are the things that matter the most.
That's true.
Right? And that's why I think the 9-figure board day is so powerful, because people who are really ready to take it to the next level, and they want almost like what you call deal insurance. And deal-making insurance, where they want to make sure that not only are they able to acquire a company, but they don't shit the bed afterward, and they don't let the company go in the wrong direction. Because you actually really need to understand post-acquisition integration, operations, all the moving pieces. And the average deal maker that comes to us doesn't know all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a way for us to be able to focus on that too and really help them succeed long-term.
Do you know why that's so important? Because you don't make money when you buy companies. Mm-hmm. You can in some cases, right? Like, you know, we're always taking fees out of deals that we do, right? You can make money on the front end of a deal, but really, so there's 3 ways to make money doing deals, right? So you can make money at close if there's more capital in the deal than you need to close, right? So, and we always engineer our deals to do that. And then obviously, as the owner of the business, net of the cash flow that you need to spend to service the debt, then, you know, you can take a distribution every month, and we do that, as you know, across all of our portfolio companies. But the real money, right, the real value is created if you can scale a company and then you can exit, right? So imagine you buy a company, it's doing $2 million in revenues, and you do an SBA 7A loan, right? So you get $100,000 of equity, you get like $1.8 million of debt, and then there's a little bit of a seller note on standby. So then from that business, right, if you can grow that business from 2 million to 4 million, you're probably going to at least double your margin, because you can leverage the business as economies of scale. You can leverage the overhead, right? So imagine my Rolex arm he's got a much nicer watch than me, by the way. Have you seen his watch? His watch costs more than my Porsche.
I don't know if you can see that.
Unbelievable, right? So Rafa Nadal, the Richard Mille.
If you're watching this, don't get any
also
fast ideas, guys.
Let's not announce that so I get robbed in the street.
Yeah, okay. So
that's actually a Stolex.
My poor man's Rolex, right? I'll tell you the story in a minute about why I have so many Rolexes. It's a really funny story. So if you grow the business and at the same time you're amortizing the financing that you've taken on board to buy it, that triangle between my two arms, that's called shareholder value, right? And that's the game we all need to play. It's the only game in town, right? And we were talking before about capital raising and why that's so important. Because if you can scale a business and create shareholder value, when you sell, you might have a partner in that mix who's helped you fund the deal. That's where you make most of the money. So being able to integrate a business properly, being able to track performance, having systems and processes and KPIs so you can measure the business daily or weekly, that's the game.
And I think I'm so proud of this community that we've built. Like if you look at the BBA guys, every single person was a student. And they've elevated into a position of authority and real knowledgeable skill set to help those people after they acquire the business, right? Like what you said, everyone's so pumped and jazzed about buying a business, but I'd say at least half of the people who buy a business are like, okay, I've bought it, now what? And they struggle with the integration and the operations. And to your point, it's the unsexy things that make or break these companies. It's the integration and the operations, obviously, as well as the growth.
Yeah.
But it's that transition period. And I think, you two guys especially have done a great job of bringing the BBA guys and everybody on board. And it's just a testament to the community that they were all students and now they're all playing at a higher level.
Well, what's really interesting about that, right, is all of our students were out there closing deals, and they were hiring people to go and raise capital for them. They were hiring people to do due diligence. They were hiring attorneys to transact on the deals. They were hiring wealth managers to protect their money. They were hiring marketing agencies to grow their businesses. And, we were sending tens of millions of dollars down the street. And we said, well, why don't we just do that, right? Why don't we just do that? And we never start companies, right? We buy them, right? So why don't we buy a collection of professional services businesses that we can integrate into the student journey, right? And it goes back to that flywheel. Like we had our very good buddy and our other board member, Brandon Vaughan, talk about flywheels, right? Like how to architect a business that's going to massively scale by having that flywheel of activity that's really going to get the momentum going. And I think for us, it's all about, buying businesses, and then having students successfully scale those businesses, then exit those businesses. That creates all the social proof, creates all the buzz in the community. It not only inspires more people to join Protege and Dealmaker, but it also motivates the people already in the community to kind of really get off their butt and make things happen. And this is one of the things I want to talk about real quick. It's kind of what's always fascinated me about Protege is it's really interesting where the absolute rock stars, kind of come from, right? Like people think, oh, the people that come in with lots of money and can fund their own deals are the ones that are most successful, and they're not, right? Because they're not hungry.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, two of my favorite stories, right? The first one is a recent deal, Valerie and Jonathan Sherrar, right? I absolutely love those guys. And she's a stay-at-home mum. He's got Parkinson's disease. He's a great guy. But he can't speak. Did it stop him buying a business? No. Do you know how much he's grown that business in the 2 years they've owned it, bearing in mind he can't speak, can't communicate?
No, go on.
He's 3x'd the size of that company.
Wow.
So when we talk about creating shareholder value, he's done it. He can't even speak, right? He has to write things down. Great guy, great leader. Mm-hmm. And if someone like Jonathan can do it, I'm so proud of him. There's no excuse for anybody, right? Did I ever tell the story of Jeffrey Roberts, the dishwasher from South Carolina?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he came into the program. I had to sell his furniture to afford the tuition, but was so hungry to succeed. He had no training. He'd lost his job, he'd lost his family. He was working in a school washing dishes just to survive, just to eat. And for him, he had this powerful why. We always say that people that have the most powerful why are the ones that really, really succeed. For him, he didn't want to buy a business. Do you know what he wanted more than anything? He wanted to get his family back. Yeah. So for him, buying $1 million business and getting cash flow and that status and that transformation in himself was the key in his mind to winning back his family. So like how hard do you think he ran? How hard do you think he pushed and fought to do the things that people need to do? You know, too many people start this journey and they get 5 minutes in and they think, oh, you know, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a get rich slow scheme. You know, I don't want to be calling business brokers. I don't want to be approaching business owners. I don't want to be talking to financiers. It's too much work, right? Yeah. Why don't I go and trade crypto or flip real estate or do some of the other things that the people do? That guy was so freaking hungry to win back his life. That was all the motivation he needed to kind of close the deal, which is really good.
Which is amazing.
Like we've got other stories, right? Like, you know, you've some of the people that, you know, you've mentored as well in the community. Like I'm sure you've got some amazing stories of like big wins.
100%. Just with like Ben, who was with us this weekend.
Ben Gacciola.
Yeah, Ben was talking to us about just how everything in the last 1 year, because we met Ben when we were in Scottsdale, Arizona in November 2023.
And it's Ben the Mexican guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great story.
You fast forward a year later and he's acquired a $10 million business. And it's not just a business, it's his dream business. It's a vision of 10 years coming full circle. And he did it leveraging other people's money. It's a pretty amazing story. And I don't know if we want to go too deep into it because that's his story. Yeah. And some of that may be confidential.
You should probly get him on to tell it at some point.
We should.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
And what was so cool about it is every single person in our organization played a part in his journey. He was even talking to us about your wife and saying that, he said that Jess had a training where he ended up pretty much adopting a new mantra and a new affirmation every morning. And that was what gave him enough firepower and energy and willpower to keep pushing forward when it gets tough. And he treats people the way they need to be treated. He's a good person. And he's also just an incredible networker. I think about close to 1,000 people in our Protege community right now. He's had one-on-ones with over 800 of them.
He's an action taker.
He's an action taker. And when you said, Carl, a minute ago, the people who do really well in our program in buying businesses, it's people not just who are hungry, but people who are just not afraid to take action. I think Uncle Grant Cardone says it really well in the 10X rule. If you remember, he said people underestimate the amount of effort necessary to being successful. And people who have the right expectations, who are ready to play full out and do that 10X effort, please keep coming because we know we can turn you into rock stars.
I love Grant Cardone.
I do too. Uncle G.
You know, I got the picture of me and him in my office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a whole day with him in Aventura in Cardone Capital. Almost had a massive deal with him, which would have been baller, but didn't work out.
Hey, live and you learn. He's probably watching this. Yeah. He probably wants to do a deal with us now.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, Uncle G.
Too late now. You missed the boat.
I love that day we spent in Aventura with the Agora guys. Like, I was heartbroken it didn't work. But,
I think he's doing deals with Trump now.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Those guys are buddy.
Yeah.
It was right before COVID.
Yeah.
I got really sick after that trip. Before COVID was a thing, right? This was February of 2020. So before COVID was even out there, I flew to New York. First of all, I was on the Brian Rose London Real podcast, which was amazing. He ran for mayor of London, by the way.
Did he?
Brian Rose, yeah. So I was on Brian Rose's podcast, and then we flew down because I was partnered with Agora then. You know, Agora bought what is Dealmaker. It was Ninja Acquisitions. Agora acquired it. Mm-hmm. They rebranded it to Dealmaker, and then, as you know, we acquired it back a couple of years later. But during my Agora days, I was blessed to be introduced to some really cool people, like the Kiyosakis.
Yeah,
Kim and Robert Kiyosaki.
Very cool.
Brian Rose.
James Altucher.
I was on his podcast. He's a smart dude. Mm-hmm. Love James Altucher.
Wasn't it Monica Lewinsky too? Oh no, I got something.
No, not Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, James, fascinating guy. I did a couple of podcasts with him. I went up on the train. So I was living in Baltimore for a while. I partnered with Agora. I remember going up on the Amtrak to New York, and was sat in his apartment doing the whole podcast with him. And then, he was fascinated with business acquisitions. He's like, you can buy a business with no money? I said, yeah. Like, you can actually buy some businesses with absolutely no money, right? You can do an annuity deal, right? You can pay for the business over time. But in some cases, you got to put capital down at closing. And but you can partner with people. You partner with people for the equity. Once you got equity, you can leverage that with debt financing, and you can own that business. And like even James, with his like brain power and his experience, like he said, I didn't know that. He's like, so like I love the comic book store down the street. Like, could I go buy that? Sure. It's probably too small of a business, right?
Yeah.
Maybe want to think a little bit bigger, or buy 50 of them, right? But no, it was really interesting. Hey, quick story. I know you guys have asked me before, like, why have you got so many Rolexes, right? So funny story. A lot of them are really old, right? I've had them since the 90s. So back when I was a Wall Street guy, so this is late 1990s, right? I would go to a lot of these events, right? They'd be in Vegas, they'd be in Scottsdale, and like, can't give too much away, but let's just say some of the large technology companies that were my clients and I was working on deals with, every night we would get a strip club budget, right? So all these envelopes of cash would come out, $5,000, and you could buy a decent Rolex for $5,000, not $20,000 today, but you'd get these $5,000 wads of money in envelopes. And then all my buddies from the investment bank and the PE world that I ended up going into as well, they'd be out to all the strip clubs with all this free money, right? But I don't know, it was just never my thing, right? I don't know whether it was my upbringing or all those things. For a long part of that, I was single, right? I was in between marriages. So, I could have gone and done all that stuff, but it just kind of wasn't my thing. So what Uncle Carl used to do is take the 5K. I go to the boutique in the hotel and I'd buy watches, right? So I ended up with like loads of these watches. Then I started trading them and doing all these things. So, because I'm actually quite a frugal guy at heart. I know I have a beautiful home now in Austin. I have some really amazing cars and all these crazy things.
I can attest to that. Carl is very frugal. He squeaks when he walks.
Yeah, I buy stuff in Target. I love Target. It's my favorite store, right? I buy T-shirts from Target. I no joke, buy clothes from Marshalls and TJ Maxx. I've even been known to buy stuff from Ross Dress for Less.
Yeah,
right.
Ross is good.
Yeah, last night we went out for sushi. With our BBA partners and our families. Those denim shorts I was wearing, $9, Ross Dress for Less. It's amazing.
Bargain.
So I'm like, why pay $200 for a pair of shorts when I could pay $9?
Unless they're Lululemon, it's worth it.
You want to tell the Lululemon story?
Let's do it. Before we get that direction, the $5,000 to go to the strip club, that would buy the strip club in Alabama where I live.
Would it really?
Probably.
There's one more story that I want you to tell, Carl, from the weekend, and it's the Uber driver story. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, from this weekend.
Yeah, from the one just gone, from the night.
Yeah, that was really cool, actually. So part of our event this weekend is we had a Western night. So we were in Austin, Texas. We all had the cowboy hats and the boots and all the stuff. And there's about, 70 of us?
Yeah. We had 91.
We had 91. So there's 91 of us, mastermind, our NFB mastermind members. Those are our 0.1% of our top deal makers, people flying in from all over the world. David Ravenscroft came in from Thailand. We had people from the UK. All these people came in, right? And we all went to this huge, it was a great place. It was called Wanderlust.
Wanderlust Winery.
Which is great, huge winery where they got like
a great spot.
Hundreds and hundreds of wines. You go there. We gave them all these swipe cards and having all this wine. World-class barbecue. There was live music. We had a great night.
It was great.
So it's after midnight. And we decided, like, we were all getting Ubers back to the hotel. We all stayed in the hotel in Austin, downtown, the Tommy. And so I'm in this Uber with Andrew Lamb, Ben Dubois, my wife, Julia, and there are a couple of other people. It's this huge, big Uber Black. So we're all in there, right? And I'm literally, the driver sat here, Ben Dubois in the passenger seat, and I'm right behind the Uber driver, right? So we're anyway, and Ben's chatting with this guy, and the Uber driver said, "Hey, so like, what have you guys been doing? Like, we're all wearing cowboy hats, we're all a bit drunk. It's like, what have you guys been doing?" He said, "Hey, we've been to this Western night. We were having a really good time. I'm in this, and this is Ben. He's one of our mastermind students, he's a former captain for American Airlines.
I did.
Yep.
So like he's retired now, and he's buying engineering business.
He's also a veteran. Yeah.
Yeah,
He is, yeah.
great guy. And he said, "Yeah, I'm in this mastermind, right? I'm part of the Dealmaker Wealth Society, and we have this mastermind." And the Uber driver's like, "Yeah, I've been watching that dude, right? That English guy, right? I think he lives here now. Like Carl, what's his name? Carl Allen, right? I've been watching this dude. Yeah, I watch him on YouTube. I listen to his podcast or watch his podcast. Yeah, I think he'd even said I've been through his 10-day launch training, right? And I'm like chuckling in the back. And Ben said, "Well, hey, he's sat right behind you." And the guy's like, "No, he's not. Get out of here." And Ben's like, "I'm telling you, right, don't turn around right now because you're driving, but when you stop at a light, this dude's like literally sat right behind you." And he stopped and he turned around, and I just went, "Hey." And he's like, "Oh my God, no way. Carl Allen's in my Uber," right? And anyway, so for the next 20 minutes, I was coaching him, right? I was coaching him, like, "Hey, what's your buy box?" Like, he said, "Well, I drive for Uber. I love it. I get to meet really cool, interesting people." Said, "You probably never had a business buying guru in your car, have you?" He's like, "No." So he was telling me about his buy box, and which was home services. And he's like, "Yeah, man, like I love this roll up that you talk about. I want to do like lots and lots of deals, right?" He said, my dad and my brother, they're electricians, like electrical contractors, like, want to buy up like in the kind of Texas Triangle, San Antonio, Houston, Austin. I want to like buy a bunch of these things, right? I said, "Well, why stop at electrical?" He said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, think about the customer of an electrical contracting business, right?" He said, yeah, they need like electrical stuff, right? They want a Tesla charging point. They want the HVAC fix, whatever, right? I said, think about it though, right? Why would you only just buy electrical businesses? Why wouldn't you buy a plumbing business or a roofing business or a pest control business or a garage door repair business or landscaping, hardscaping? Like, think about home services generally. It's like, but why would you do that? I said, because think about it, right? Your customer, I said, roll-ups have to be focused around the customer, right? Forget the business, right? When you start a roll-up project, first and foremost, think about the customer that you want to serve and then look at where they're spending their money, right? So the average homeowner who needs electrical repairs will also need plumbing. They might need roofing. They might need windows. They might need landscaping, gardening or hardscaping or pool cleaning or pest control. And I said, think about me, right? I moved to Austin in May, bought my big house in Lakeway near Ross, and I have 8 different contractors that deal with all my stuff. I have a pool cleaning guy. I have a pest control guy. I have a pool repair guy that's even different to my pool cleaning guy. I have an electrical guy, a plumbing guy, a HVAC guy. I have a carpentry guy. I have a gardening company. I have a hardscaping company. And then there's a guy that came and fixed my garage door and it wasn't working. So those are 10 companies that I've had to go out and find, right? Imagine if you owned, pick a metro area, whether it's Austin or Lakeway or San Antonio, wherever. If you went and acquired all those different companies, right, then you can sell your services across all those customers that you've acquired for zero cost of marketing. It's like, no, man, I don't agree with that. Like, you got to run Facebook ads, right? You got to go on the radio. You got to be on print. You got to be on Google. I'm like, why? They're your customers. Just call them up. Or anytime the electrical guy goes and fixes something, hand off a little brochure. Did you know, Mr. Moore, Mr. Turner, we do all these other different things? We're a one-stop shop, right? And then you can have maintenance contracts for recurring revenues, right? To cover all those different things, right? They could have, a visit a month where it's a different service provider, or you send out like a triage person that looks around the house and says, "Hey, you've got some tiles missing, your pool's leaking. We need to fix this with your deck. There's some lighting that's not working. I'm going to just bring all my people in. We're going to take care of all that stuff," right? And he's like, "Man, that's crazy." And you could see his brain spinning, right? So I think 2 lessons in there, right? Number one, you never know who you're going to meet in an Uber. And then number two, like roll-ups are really about the customer. They're not necessarily about the business, right? And if you can sell to somebody with zero cost of marketing, then you can do one of two things, right? Number one, you can lower your prices because the marketing spend to acquire a new customer is not going to eat your margins. So you lower your prices, you might differentiate stronger in the market and gain market share, or you can keep your prices the same, which I would promote, and really differentiate on quality and service, but then scale your revenues up much higher margins, much more EBITDA.
Which is a flywheel that lets you
which is the flywheel,
put more into customer acquisition.
Yep. That was probably the most impactful 20 minutes he's ever had.
You know, the other really cool thing that happened on the weekend on that night?
Go on.
I missed it because I went back to the hotel and I went onto the fourth floor there were about 20 people. The other 40 odd of you or 60 odd of you went to that Mexican nightclub, didn't you? Right.
We did.
And he was showing me the videos on the Sunday, right? So we have two of our business partners, right, who were amazing. We have James Plantania, who's our attorney, not in BBA and 9FB and Dealmaker. He's our attorney for all of our eConfolio stuff and all of our capital funds and PE stuff that we're doing. And then we have Jeremy Bronson, who's our group CFO inside of Kings of Deals. We own about 11 different companies now, right, in that roll-up. Both of those guys, as you can imagine, a CPA or a CFO and an attorney, they're normally very considered. They're very rigorous. Don't let their hair down too much. Everything's a no. Everything's like very negative. Did you see those guys?
I did. I've got video footage of both
with
of
the
them.
cowboy hats. Absolutely.
They were having
battered.
They let
The pair
loose,
of them.
right? They let loose. They had a good time. But
Which is good.
it is good, yeah.
He was battered, wasn't he?
He was double fisting, yeah. I've got blackmail evidence for weeks. You've seen the video.
Oh, I've seen him.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy too. It wasn't bad.
No,
it was
it wasn't bad. It was just
having fun.
Everyone was having a good time, and
Yeah.
it was nice. I was standing up on the balcony. I could see like everyone down below, so all the girls and stuff were dancing.
Yep.
And then at the back of the wall, there was just like all of the guys with the cowboy hats on, and it was great to see everyone have such a good
Gutted
time.
I missed
It was a
it.
great weekend.
I'm gutted I missed it. All these after parties. And then I saw one from the Friday night. There was Rafa and Chelsea dancing, Laurie and Zach.
Yeah.
and
Great
a
dancers.
couple of other people.
Kendall fell off the stair.
Kendall fell off the stairs. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was amazing.
There was
well, then there was also drunken late night pizza.
Yeah.
well, that's always good though.
It's always good.
One of the other things that I want to talk about real quick, which is pretty amazing, is like, and this is the journey that you and I have been, right? Like we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars in the last 2 years. It's been very painful. We spent a lot of money to raise that money, right? And I know we've just launched a program about that, which we'll talk about in a minute, about how to raise capital. The Capital Core Collective, which is really, really cool. But one of the things that we've realized in the past 2 years is the money's really in the money.
Yeah.
The money is really in the money. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made doing deals. A lot of money. But to be a capital provider, you can multiply that money, right? And I've seen this in a lot of the proteges, right? So we talked about Valerie and Jonathan Sherrar before about their case study with Parkinson's and buying that big landscaping business. And Valerie called me a few weeks ago. We had a Zoom, and she said, "Hey, like, I've just made all this money now. Like, what do I do with this capital? Right? I need to put it to work. I don't need any more equity capital and cash to scale my business because I'm cash flow positive. I can do SBA loans up to the $5 million cap, which is going to be $10 million without putting in any equity. Don't know if you knew that. If the first three letters of the NACE code, first three digits are the same, you can continue to scale using SBA financing without needing any more equity. So she's like, I don't need to spend my money to do deals, but like, I want to partner with other people inside of the community. Can I be their equity investor and also mentor them, right? I can share with them my lessons learned and kind of give back into the community and create that ripple effect. That's the thing that like I love the most about Protege in that community. Like you look at people like Lenny, Wes Grant, now, Rachel Gordon, you look at like Valerie and Jonathan, like the people that win and win big with the money that they make and the wisdom that they've generated, they want to plug that back in to all of our students inside of the program. And that makes me so proud, man, because like the program's like, it's gone beyond us now, right? It's gone beyond the three of us as really the kind of the brain trust of Protege. People, they're having meetups all over the world.
They are, yeah.
I go to some of them. I go to the ones in Austin. I go to the ones in Phoenix and Florida sometimes. But in every major city now, you've got a collection of proteges that are meeting up. They're sharing their best practices. They're partnering on deals. Do you remember when we launched Protege 3 years ago? About 1 in 10 deals that we were seeing closed every week were partner deals. Now it's like 60%.
It's a ton.
Yeah.
And not just two people partnering, like the $100 million deal that closed that we celebrated at the mastermind this weekend with Ian, Tracy, and Tyler.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are harnessing their skills and their backgrounds and their capital, and they're doing all these deals. Like, I'm proud of you guys. We've done something incredible.
And I think we're just getting started.
I think you're right.
So I look at this weekend, there was a group of gentlemen at the 9FB who are members, and they all met in Protege. They found their equity investor in Protege. They found their entire deal team and legal team in Protege. They had never met before, and then they closed on a, I think, $5 million plus deal in San Francisco.
That's incredible.
It's just amazing how
Is that
people...
the refrigeration
The
business?
refrigeration business
Yeah.
up in one of the biggest metro areas in the country.
I remember that on Red Light, Green Light.
Yeah,
That's just testament to the community, right?
it is.
Like the environment that you guys have initially created has just fostered the ability to people, for them to really understand that they can do it. And then by partnering with other people who have skill sets that they don't, it's just exponentially exploded the community. What did you say earlier? It was like $850 million of deals closed that we know about.
Just under 800 that we know about. And I don't know if you remember this, right?
Well, 900 after this weekend.
Yeah, right.
We just went up
we
100
just had
million.
100 million.
This is our third nine-figure deal maker.
Third nine-figure deal maker.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, no, there's 4 actually. There's Ross.
Four.
There's Ross.
Four.
There's Michael Scott.
Abraham.
Yeah.
Took $114 million exit.
And now Ian, Tyler, Tracy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did I tell you the Michael Scott story?
Not today. We haven't heard it.
No, I never told you the Michael Scott.
I've heard
story,
it. I met him.
Right. So he was one of my first ever students, right? This was back in the Ninja days. And I think it's like student number 10. And he called me. He came into the program, and then he's like, "Hey, I want to hire you as a private coach, right?" I said, "Well, it's going to be a lot of money." He's like, "Well, that's fine. You know, I want to fast track this stuff. I want to go really, really big." So he hired me. We got to working, and he bought a wealth management company. He was really into, that was his background. That was a great deal for him. He bought a mixed martial arts studio. He bought like a CrossFit gym. He bought a Tesla leasing company. Did all these really cool deals, right?
Interesting.
Yeah,
I was doing very, very well. And then he called me one day. He's like, "Hey, I got this deal, right? It's a medical cannabis business, right?" I'm like, "Great. How much revenue has it got? Like, how much cash flow has it got?" He said, "Well, nothing," right? So what assets does it have? Nothing. So what does it have? He said it has the thing. It has the licenses, the permits from the state of Massachusetts to dispense medical marijuana. We've got a growth certificate, so we can build a field and a cultivation center, and then we can go and we can build the dispensing. So that's the thing, right? We just need the capital. He said, "I want you to come on as a partner." Man, like, it looks a little bit kind of like too hard for me. Like, I love the vision and the energy, but yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm happy to consult with you, but I don't necessarily want a piece of this, right? Because I didn't understand the market, right? So he's like, "No problem." So he paid for me to fly to Boston the next day, helped him negotiate this deal. He took a majority ownership in this deal, right? And then what he did, which was really, really clever, because you can't raise normal capital for the cannabis world, right? Cannabis is federally illegal. Yeah. It's legal in the individual states, right? Because the state tax pays for the schools and the police and all those things. But at the federal level, it's illegal, right? So you can't go to the bank, can't go to the SBA, can't go to an SEC regulated financing company, right? It's all private money, unless you go to Canada or one of those other countries. But I said to him, like, you run this wealth management business, right? Why don't you just tap those guys up? You've got all these high net worths that you're, doing all their IRAs and all this stuff.
They already have all the know, like, and trust.
Yeah. They have the know, like, and trust, pitch the deal, teach you how to do that. So he raised a boatload of money from those guys, right? Went and built the facility, obviously created all this marijuana, and then built out the supply chain network for the dispensary, and then took a 9-figure exit. So he was our first 9-figure deal maker. Then we had Abraham, who I think has bought and sold over 100 different businesses. He's into like escape rooms and
he's into everything. Just bought a tree service. He's bought like 6 new trophy companies in the last year.
Yeah, I know. We spent a fortune on tombstones for our students.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
and then you came along, raised all that money, and we're doing all those deals. And then, and now we've got Ian, Tracy, and Tyler.
That's hugely impressive.
So half of that 800 million is from those 4 individuals. And then we got hundreds of other people that are doing deals. And I don't know if you remember, right? So when I bought the business back from Agora, in late 2020, you and I, met up. I was on your boat, right?
That was in 21 when you and I met.
Was it 21? So we're whizzing around the lake near your house, and I very mistakenly thought that my skills as a sports car driver would translate onto a boat. They do not. I nearly crashed the boat, Chris, didn't I? Yeah,
I said, hey, whatever you do, stay between the buoys, don't hit the buoy. And he kept hearing buoy, so he just kind of like veered off and hit this buoy. And buoys kind of look like this, and they're coming out of the water, but they're another 8 feet in the water.
Yeah.
But luckily, it didn't hit the prop. No harm, no foul.
Got away with it.
I'd have bought you a new boat.
You said that to me. You said, good thing I can afford to buy a new boat.
I saved so much money shopping at Marshall. I can.
Yeah. You've got boat money now.
I got some boat money for you. Not that I'm a boat guy, but I remember on that boat ride, once we knew we weren't going to die, thanks to you, you saved us. I said to you, I got this BHAG, right? The big hairy ass goal for Protege, because we were about to launch it, is I want to create $1 billion worth of deals in 10 years. I remember you saying, man, that was a huge goal. Like, that would be amazing, right? And we're 3 years in and we're about to eclipse that. So do you remember in Orlando at our Dealmaker Live, I turned around and said, I'm resetting the goal, right?
Yeah.
I want to go 10 billion.
Yep.
Right? Because there's trillions of dollars of boomers deals going to hit the market in the next 10 to 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
The SBA have been fantastic in giving a lot more access to their capital. They've removed virtually all the restrictions, right? And you've got all these sellers that want to do annuity deals because they want fast deals that are tax efficient and maybe a high valuation. So I'm just proud of what we're doing, that we're harnessing all that and generating billions of dollars of value for people. We're changing people's lives. A lot of it comes down to my mission, right? When I don't need to do this, you don't need to do this, right? Yeah, we get world-class deal flow from our partners in these programs now, right?
We do.
Which is amazing. But that's not what it started out for me, right? I retired in 2008, right? And then I got bored. I started doing my own deals. And then I thought, do I retire again or do I do something different? And I was very different before you guys knew me, right? So I still had a lot of that Wall Street swagger. I was a lot more arrogant than I am today. I was a lot more money motivated than I am today. I was a bit more aggressive and mean than I was today. And to be fair, I was a bit of an arsehole, right? I remember my wife Julia saying to me one day, "You're an arsehole." And I was, right? I wasn't a nice guy.
Good wife will tell you though.
Yeah.
And I remember I was having this conversation with Julia one night. She's like, "Dude, you're an arsehole. Like, figure it out. You're not a nice person. You're a great guy, but you need to kind of figure that out." So I went to bed that night and I was on Netflix, right? What can I watch, right? So I'm led in bed watching Netflix and I came across this documentary called I Am Not Your Guru, right? By Tony Robbins. So I watched that documentary and it was transformational for me. I watched it and all the different stories on there. And literally, as soon as it finished, I was on my iPad. I went on the internet browser and I got to go to this event. So this event the I'm Not Your Guru documentary is about an event that he does called Date with Destiny, right? It's about you go into this 5-day or 6-day event being one person, and you completely rewire yourself to come out being the type of person that you want to be. Right? And it's hardcore. It's like 90 hours, they're like 18-hour days. Brutal, right? But I thought, I want to do it. It's like $5,000. I want to do it, right? I think this is what I need, right? And I Googled, and this was January of 2018. And the next event wasn't until December. So I went to all of his other events. I did Unleash the Power Within, did the Firewalk, did Life and Wealth Mastery, did all that kind of stuff. And then I remember going to Date with Destiny, and I walked in as an arsehole, and I walked out wanting to be somebody that would contribute. So that became my trigger to become a coach, right?
That's kind of your defining moment.
Yeah. So what was the one thing during that weekend that changed it for you?
Yeah. So there's a lot of meditative stuff that goes on in there. But one of the things that Tony really teaches you is that there are 6 human needs, right? So there are 6 things in our values that really define us, right? One is significance, right? One is contribution. One is growth. One is certainty. The other is uncertainty. And then the 6th one is like love and connection, right? So most of the human race are wired around significance and certainty, right? You need to have certainty in your life, and you want significance. You want people to kind of value you, right? That's the most of the population. I came out of that not having those values. I decided to re-engineer myself around contribution and growth, right? Mm-hmm. So I came out of that thinking, well, I've got this skill set. I've got the superpower of buying businesses. I want to teach the world, right? But then, and you taught me this, oftentimes when you want to do something great, you've got to be fighting for something that's bigger than you, right? Yeah. And bigger than your family. A lot of people say, yeah, my motivation is my family, right? That's not enough. No. Family going to love you if you're rich or poor, right? You said that this weekend. So what is a mission that's so big that I can latch my goals onto, right? And I looked at the market, and it blew my mind, right? 2 data points blew my mind, right? The first one was there's almost 7 million Americans every year will go and start a brand new business from scratch. They want to be the next Facebook. And 96% of those will fail, right?
Yep.
Yet there are over 2.5 million small businesses for sale today, and only 1 in 11 of those businesses will sell in a 12-month period, that's right? Crazy. There's not enough people trained to buy those businesses, right? So my big mission was, right, can I stop entrepreneurs failing by acquiring existing profitable businesses and help baby boomers retire to enjoy the next season of their life, right? The Exit Planning Institute did a big survey on this. It's crazy. 80% of a baby boomer's net worth outside of their home is tied up in the value of their business. So if they can't sell their business, they can't retire, right? So I thought, can I connect the dots? A crude analogy, but could I be the Tinder or the Match.com in the middle of that marketplace? Could I train an army of really smart acquisition entrepreneurs, get them locked in on their buy boxes, teach them how to find businesses, teach them how to build rapport, teach them how to raise money, teach them how to structure deals, and then be able to take these baby boomers out of business ownership and retire in a dignified and structured and transitional way. So that became my mission, right? And if you think about it, we're the largest business acquisition coaching company in the world, right?
Yeah.
And if we add up all the other, we'll talk about this in a minute, if we add up all the other gurus, some of them are great, right? I love some of the people that are also in this market, but there's a few charlatans as well. If I add up all the rest of that market, I don't think we're even touching 1%.
No.
Oh, I doubt it.
People ask me all the time, like, they said, Carl, does it not bother you that all these people steal your stuff? They're hacking your funnels, they're stealing your content. I'm like, no, we're not even 1% of the opportunity. I need these people. I want to have more of these people, right? It takes a village to change the world, right? I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. I'm not Elon Musk. I can't change the world single-handedly. You need to create an army, not just of students, but an army.
And they're teaching your material.
Yeah.
I'll teach you my
so
material.
Because it's complementary, right? So they
I think,
steal it, copy it, and then they ultimately find Carl and find this community.
I love being the innovator. What does Pat Hilton call me? The Godfather.
The Godfather. Yeah.
Deal making. I love that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. Like, I've been at this the longest, right? I've been at this for 33 years, right? I've had the Wall Street, the Main Street background. I've done 10 times more deals than everybody else. But that's a valuable data set that I can innovate, right? All the things that we do inside of Protege, we talk about transfer of value, right? We talk about measuring seller psychology. We built the multiples model. Like, the innovation that we're driving every single day in our coaching business, the whole world's copying that, but the whole world needs to copy that, right? I have no problems with that. I'm not saying, guys, plagiarize all my stuff. Think up your own stuff, please, if you can. But we can collaborate, right? Sure. There's enough,
there's enough need, right? There's enough drive and need in the marketplace. People actively want this, right? It's the thing that flipped for me and like changed my mindset was, and I think it was Jeremy Harbour who said this actually. So before I met and was introduced to Carl,
I love Jeremy.
I listened to every single piece of content that Jeremy put out on YouTube.
I love Jeremy Harbour.
And he said you can run the last 200 yards of the marathon and still get the medal. And then as soon as I started working with Carl, it's a complete mindset shift. Like the ability, and again, I'm just going to be specific about myself here, the ability to create wealth quickly by doing deals is crazy. Like that mindset shift, because I'd always been a bootstrap kind of guy. And that flip of the switch, I was like, holy, we can make a whole ton of money doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that they said pioneers always die with an arrow in their back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to ever try to go out and find something new when you can just learn from somebody who's already done it. So
100%.
I guess in closing today, Carl, what's the big walkaway? We talked a lot of cool stories. We talked about the 9FB this weekend.
I think the biggest closing remark in all of this stuff is, and I think what really makes us unique in terms of what we do is we're doers and teachers, right? I think it's great to be an educator and a coach in anything in life, but if you're not doing it day to day, you quickly get stale. There are people in this industry that did deals 10 years ago, right? The M&A world's changed in the last 10 weeks, let alone the 10 years, right? You said that before, right?
Yeah.
The world's changing. So the fact that we spend 80% of our time raising money, doing deals, all that stuff, and then 20% of our time taking all of that real-time knowledge from yesterday and plugging it into stuff with our students today, I think that's the key thing. And obviously, buying businesses, it's not hard. It just takes some hard work, right? There's no get-rich-quick schemes in life. Anybody that sells you a get-rich-quick scheme, they're lying to you, right? Valuable things take effort, they take time, they take patience, they take discipline, right? And, you got to want it. You got to have a why. You got to have something bigger than you that you're fighting for, right? Join our mission.
Yeah. And just to close on this, right? We're in the trenches every single day doing deals, looking at deals, and that ranges from single ones and twos to hundreds of millions of dollars, right? That's kind of what separates us. We're covering all of the spectrum here, and we're making an impact and changing people's lives, both buyers and sellers, right?
Huge. Yeah.
Closing from you, dude, and then we'll wrap.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I love the mission that we're on. I love the vision of our company, of all the organizations, and like you said, we're doing deals. I mean, I had 2 seller calls last week. I've got one in person tomorrow, and then on a regular basis, someone calls and say, hey, can you come and be a part of this journey with us?
Yep.
And we say no 99% of the time before we say yes once. Right? You have to, but at the same time, it's great to have options. And I think people watching this who are interested in getting to acquisitions, I mean, you're only a year, 2 years away from having that level of opportunity.
Yeah,
100%.
If you just double down, you commit, and you focus on mastering your craft, which is one last thing is, what are the 3 things you got to do as a deal maker to be successful?
You've got to originate deals. You got to meet sellers. You got to make offers.
If you can get good at those 3 things, add capital raising
change your
as
life.
the 4th,
change your life.
Your whole world's changed.
Think about if you want to build muscle, right? You join a gym, like you would join a coaching program like ours. And if you go to that gym consistently and intentionally 3-4 times a week, and you lift weights, you do your reps, you do your sets, and then you put the proper fuel back into your body and you sleep and drink water, it's biologically impossible not to build muscle, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a successful deal maker, you've got to consistently and intentionally originate deals, go meet sellers and build rapport,
Make offers.
and then go make offers on those deals. And if you do that each and every week, you can't fail.
That's it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
We do.
It was
Good to do this in
a
person.
very special episode of the
was.
Creative Dealmaker podcast. I think we should do this more often, guys.
We should. Yeah.
great.
Zoom gets kind of boring.
It
Let's
does.
riff. Let's riff on all the cool. We haven't
I
even
love
talked
it.
about the
We haven't even talked about. Yeah,
um,
we could talk for hours.
our micro cap fund for SBA deals, our big roll up funds.
So we do it at the pub next time.
Yeah,
We
let's do
can.
it at the pub. Let's
Yeah.
have some beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. That's
yeah, we'll
a great
do it at the
idea.
pub.
Beers
Let's,
with the boys.
But guys, wishing you a great rest of your day. We will see you soon for the next episode of the Dealmaker podcast. Until then, bye for now.